Hi, Surmani. Please join the session on time. So I want all of you to quickly revise on creating a view in Angular using component and template, data on templates using interpolation and property binding, capturing a data using ng model, and event binding, achieving component interaction with input and output binding. Today we will continue with publishing. Yeah, what is the purpose of question mark and colon? Colon indicates type. Question mark indicates
optional.
You can use it for a regular variable. We can use it for an object type of product class. By the way, product is a class. So I'm going to create a variable selected product belongs to the type product. I'm accepting the technical term optional. What do you mean by optional in line number 29? Anyone can give a try.
That means either of type.
We can specify a type or it can remain undefined.
We can specify the type or we can leave
Undefined.
Undefined.
So if you look into the code, product 1 holding all the details of product details from our mock. So it is initializing and with the data. So if you look into new product, product 1 take memory as well as data from product details. What about new product? So new product, we are initializing. Every time we are initializing. So likewise, we have created an object called a selected product. So when the selected product will be loaded with the values, when it will get initialized? Come on, can you recollect what is the purpose of this property selected product? When are we using selected product?
On click.
On select.
Whenever we are selecting the item in a list. So I have a list with some 10 items. So whenever I'm selecting, I'm clicking any of the item, this on select method will be triggered. At the time of click selection only, my selected product is loaded with the memory and loaded with the values. Until the time it leaves in my program optional. Can I able to allocate the memory and can I able to allocate any initialized value? No. Whenever I'm selecting any of the item in my list, until otherwise my selected product remains undefined. So in order to enable undefined, and we are going to leave it as an optional till the time you are going to click on the selected item. So until the time this on select method gets triggered, the selected product remains optional. So in order to enable that functionality, we are using question mark. I don't want to allocate a memory, then it gets collapsed because initially it will be filled with null. I'll show you. Until the time July. Until the time when I select the value, it has to remain undefined, optional one. You can enable the functionality in TypeScript with the help of question mark. So shall we continue with where we stopped? Have you tried event emitter from child to parent? So come on guys, I need your response. Based on that, again, I'll continue with this data passing between two different components. We continue from where we stopped and then we have a new topic for today. Shall I complete or you need some time to practice on this input and output? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Can you give a quick recap of the previous?
Yes, ma'am. Quick recap.
Yeah. People are joining. So we started with component. Name alone single page application. The concept of single page application has been achieved with the help of components. So my Angular application has been built up of n number of components. So every time whenever I'm making the changes, the respective component alone will be reloaded from my server. So again, if you take component, so component is nothing but my TypeScript file. So this TypeScript file consists of template, view template, which is nothing but the view where my my client gonna to view the record, where I can able to display all the data binding, everything can be happen. So since we are in web application, our HTML template makes sense in this view component. So name alone component is your TypeScript file, which will have an attached template, which is nothing but our HTML file. So your HTML file is gonna to act like a view layout, where you can also do data binding and directive. So directive, as of now, we came across only on 2 directives. So today we will explore in the afternoon more on directives. Yesterday we used only structural directive, ng for and ng if. So apart from that, we did lot of data binding. So in your component, you will have a view layout HTML. So apart from that, you will be having a powerful TypeScript class. Class is a combination of properties and methods. Whichever the code, I want to make it on my view. So we can be created inside my TypeScript class. So we have two things. One is property, which will be holding the data. The other one is method, which will be holding the logic. Apart from that, extra data for Angular, especially this decorators, directives can be additionally added and as your metadata of your component. So when you take your component, so all your additional decorators, directive information, everything you will be added. Apart from that, you will be having your template view, which is your HTML page, and it's a powerful class. Class consists of properties. Also, it consists of methods. So if I want to bind the data from my TypeScript to my HTML, from my TypeScript, if I want to send the data to my HTML, we call it as binding, one-way binding. So we can able to achieve one-way binding with the help of various concepts. So one powerful concept is
interpolation.
Interpolation. If it is a regular variable property of your TypeScript, you can call directly. You can also call with the help of property binding. So if it is a regular property, employee ID is a variable I have in my TypeScript. I can bind in my HTML with the help of interpolation or with the help of property binding. EMP ID is a property which can be accessed with this curly braces, or I can assign to any of the property of my HTML element. So likewise, if it is an object, if it is an object type, you will use the object name followed with what? Your key name. This is a direct variable, whereas this is your object type. So object can be referred with the help of, see, if it is an array, you need to traverse with all the objects inside an array. For that, we are using a structural directive ngFor. It will be prefixed with asterisk notation. So I'm having an array, inside you have objects. So I'm traversing. So every time by using an object type, we are calling its respective property. So these are all one-way binding. So let's assume I have a text box. I want to pass the data from my HTML template to my TypeScript. So which is possible with the help of ng model. So ng model is a combination of property binding as well as event binding. Whenever if I enters and if I switch to the next text box, the data will be assigned to new product.pid. New product is nothing but an object and it will be assigned to PID. It's a key name. So from here to there, you can pass with the help of ng model. So for that, you need student details and you need new product. So these objects should be there in your TypeScript file. You should have student details. It's an array holding collection of objects. So likewise, you need a new product object, which is an object of product. So by using this object, by respective key, you will pass the data from your template to your TypeScript file. If you are having a data of mixed type, so since it is an object-oriented language, you will be creating a class. So class consists of collection of heterogeneous type, mixed type of data. And we have all the prototype. So whenever if you have a class, in order to use the class in other component functionality, you have to export the class. Here export is mandatory word. Whenever if you want to use this class, you have to import it. Import this from this file, class name. Then you can able to initialize. So with the help of object, you can call the respective key and you can store the data. So these are the introduction part of your component. You can have any number of component. Component will be registered inside your class with the help of decorator at component, selector name and your template URL and styles URL. So one-way binding, two-way binding. One-way binding through interpolation, property binding, event handling. So your event followed with which method the event is gonna to bind. So event will be enclosed within square parenthesis. And it will call on save method. So whenever if you want to capture the data from user view HTML to your TypeScript, you will use ng model. So we have to follow one very important step. So in order to use ng model in your code, you need to import forms module in ng module import class. So you will be finding app module.ts file. So here all the component will be registered. User defined component. See here, my component 1, 2, 3. Apart from that, predefined component also you need to import. So if you are using ng model, please pay attention. This step many have missed. Import forms module. It belongs to Angular forms. Likewise, we have code library, and these are all user defined. So all your components needs to be inside your declaration. All your redefined libraries can be imported. So you need to add forms module inside your import block. Then you can import in all your components. So this is my input text. So the data can be passed from here to there with the help of ng model. In order to use ng model, you need to import form module. So two-way binding. So these are the different topics which we covered yesterday. Can you relate? So I handled with some data, employee data, student data, product data. So next topic is if I want to share the data between components. So from one component to another component. The component which is sending the data is parent. The component which is receiving is called as child. Whereas if you are from parent component, the data can be passed to child with the help of property binding, and you can use @input decorator. Whereas the reverse, child to parent, you can do only event binding. So in your child, you should use output directive and you have to declare your object. And in that object, you can emit your data. So I will show you the demo to relate with the concept. So for that, I created my component 2 and my component 3. So my component 2 is gonna to pass the data from component 2 to component 3. So please look into line number 5. So you have to call the child component and you have to use property binding and you have to bind the data. So what is data? So data is nothing but a property inside your TypeScript class. How to capture this data in your child?
At input.
So I didn't touch K2. I'm just discussing on K1. So from my parent, I called child. Along with that, I am passing my property K1, which is holding some data. And this data is not a static hard-coded data. It is just a key. So it's a property key holding some value. It's a variable holding this value. So which can be captured inside your child with the help of, please look into the code, at input, and you can use K1 directly. So from parent, I passed K1 that can be captured. See here, K1 has been passed that can be captured in child. Same from child, this K1, you can use it inside your left-hand side. All this left-hand side are associated with that corresponding TypeScript class. So this K1, I can use it in my child component. If I give message from parent K1, I will be getting the information from parent. So what we need to do for the reverse from child to parent? So in order to pass the data from component 3 to component 2, so I have placed a button. So whenever I am triggering this event, the data is sending from child to parent. So I'm going to emit in this function. So just to show you the difference. So when I click, the data will be passed. So for that, you need to hit at output decorator, create an instance for event emitter. And whenever I am performing this click event, I'm going to emit some message to my parent via my key K2 property. So this K2 I want to capture in my parent. How I will capture? So how you will capture?
Output.
Only with your event binding. So you can able to capture. So you see here in parent, we are calling child. So we are triggering some time back. It is K1 property binding. Here it is event binding. So I'm calling the function and this function is holding some message and that message I'm printing. So inside this function, I'm capturing the data. So that data will be assigned to this variable and I'm just displaying on my template. So some message here I am passing July 19, 2022 from parent to child. And here I am passing sending data to parent. So let it be July 20, 2022. This message I'm sending to parent. So whatever we discussed between component 2 and 3, shall we try the same with component 1 product data? So that is what I thought will continue. But before that, so do you want to practice this or shall we continue on this component 1?
Continue.
Yeah, so I'll continue with my one last topic and we will discuss on publishing. So then you can have your practice for some time. So I'll not take maximum 1 hour. All right, listen. I'm not going to introduce any new topic. I'm sure publish is new. But before that, whatever we are discussing is a continuation of yesterday's. Listen. I'm going to continue with parent and child. So you see here, everything is one component. So inside root, we are calling my component 1. So from this line till the last image loading, everything from component 1. So some time back, we discussed on selected product. So whenever I'm selecting, the respective product needs to be refreshed on my screen, displayed on my screen. When I select Samsung tab, I should get the detail of Samsung tab. When it is HP, it should display HP. So in order to display this HP laptop 702 HP laptop, why? Name alone it is displaying twice. Let me display price. So whenever I am selecting the respective product, it got displayed. In order to display the respective selected data, my entire component gets refreshed. It's unwanted burden to server. Do I want to refresh the entire page? No, entire component, by the way. So what we can do, instead of refreshing this component 1, the selected data alone can be displayed in child component, so that no, every time when I'm selecting, only child component will get refreshed. By the way, we are reducing the load. Have you understood why we are introducing child?
Yes, ma'am.
So whatever we achieved on component 1, this small portion alone, the selected block alone, we are going to place it in our another component. Why? Instead of reloading the entire component data, we are going to reload only the next component. And what we need to pass from parent to child? So guys, if I select HP laptop, I need to get HP laptop details in child. Yes, Nikhil.
Nothing, ma'am. I just saying name, ID, price you have to pass from parent to child.
So only the selected object I need to pass. If I select Samsung tab, this Samsung tab object, the corresponding X, selected X alone I need to pass. That X I will capture in my child and I will display. So child component alone will be refreshed by changed. From parent to child, we are going to pass the selected item, selected product. And in child, we need to capture selected product and we need to display. Shall we give a try? Nothing new. Whatever we discussed on yesterday morning and in the afternoon, we are going to combine now. So I'm not going to disturb component 2 and 3. So let me create component 4. Why component 4? I'm going to create component 4. Whomsoever I'm asking, tell me. Anuj, I'm going to create component 4. Why? Ashita. Why I want to create component 4? If you are not answering, you have not understood the concept. Just give a try. It can be perfect or not. Anuj, I got your name, but I didn't get your message. You know or you know why I want to create 4th component. Ashita, I can't hear you. You are speaking, but I can't hear. why I want to create one more component? Praveen, would you like to give a try?
Ma'am, because I think we will do in links
We want to create
for
child for component 1. I told you this particular portion, details, I'm going to display in child. Why I want to display in child? Details. So my component 1 will not reload the entire content. So I want only this block to reload all the time when I select. So to achieve that, we are creating a child component.
Ma'am, why COM3 is not acting like that child component of COM1?
I don't want to disturb COM3.
So one component may be child of more than one parent?
Yeah, we can. But that has been created for some other purpose. So I don't want to use here.
Okay, ma'am.
So Rishikesh, what is the command to create component?
I take ID, EP, component C.
Either you can use component, you can use generate, or you can use G and C.
My demo 4.
Let me give my component 4. Yeah, let me create component 4. So component 4 is going to act like a child for my component 1. So listen, listen. See, I don't want this block to refresh. This block has to refresh all the time when I select. But this is because of this, the whole page is getting, whole component is getting refreshed. Sorry, I should not say page. So what I'm going to do is this particular line number 55, 56, 57, 58 till 61 should be created.
My COM4.
My COM4. So I'm cutting here and I'm pasting in my component 4. Of course, it will throw an error because it doesn't consist of variable selected product. We need to pass the selected object from parent to child. Shall we? Yeah. So I'm not going to change any of the things. So here, what should you try? What we need to have in line number 55?
My COM4.
Very good. Very good. So this is my parent component. My parent component consists of all my product details. Whenever I select, my child needs to display. So I want to call my child here. How to call child? By using your child selector. Do you use my component ES5? So this is a selector name. So your parent, if you want to call a child, you have to call. You can call directly. If you want to pass something, how you will pass? From parent to child, you can use property binding. So let me use key 3. So I'm just taking this as a key. So I pass as key 3. And what should be the key 3 value? What I need to pass from here to here? This
Object.
selected product object. So do we have selected product object here? See, already know whenever I am selecting, I click any of the item, A, set, HP, Lenovo, so it is going to on select method where we have loaded the selected product. I need to pass this. I know it will throw an error because we are not complete. See here, we cannot find A2 because it is not known property of component 4. So this selected product, I want to set as known property of COM4. How to set? Now that's all. I'm done with my parent. Go to child. What we need to do in child? What annotation we need to use? So we have to use add input. I have to use what is the A4. A4. Belongs to a type. So now I don't know whether it got selected. No, it's not any. You don't know the type product. Maybe it is defined or not. Even if it is defined, no problem. So from I'll check. I got it A3. So here I'm passing it as A3 and what I'm going to pass selected product. This selected product I am capturing as A3 on my child as an input. So how to use in my child component? What should be the condition for NGF? What is the object name? K3. And K3 is an object or product, by the way. I think it works. Make it some as I say, so they can enable to let me give the message as selected or respective product name and its details. Let me check. Can you see the output? Selected Samsung tab details. How we are getting this is selected Samsung tab details and product name and price. We got to our right. So when I select Lil, then component 1 will not refresh. Component 4 will get refreshed. So this is the selected Lenovo details we got from our component 4 child. So this particular block alone will get refreshed all the time. Instead of refreshing component 1. This is the purpose. This is how we aware with these topics. Here I am using this for this purpose. Shall we do the other one? Here we pass the data parent to child. Shall we quickly try child parent?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the requirement? Okay, I'll wait for some time. If anyone wants to do any of the code, I'm ready to show. And what I did is I passed the selected item. If I select Acer, this Acer object is passed from component 1 to 4. Component 4 is this item gets refreshed. So my component 4 alone gets refreshed. Just quickly will pass a message alone from child to parent. Shall I continue? You give it a try, then you will get familiar. All are simple concept. It looks like big on side of your component 4. So step number 1, you call child and you pass a property binding and ensure that the value should be there in your type script. object or it can be a symbol value. You have to call child by passing some property that you can capture in your child with the help of input decorator. Shall we pass the child to parent? What we need to do for that? Output. Then we cannot do that regular way. So we can do only based on event emitter. So create an object for the event emitter. This is just to show you the difference. Let me keep a button. So let me call child function 2. Comp 4 to comp 1. So I'm going to pass the message comp 1 4 to 1. So let me define a function. This dot a4. This indicates class variable. Dot name it. Say some message. What I can do. Maybe pass good morning. Maybe. Right. Shall we pass the same? So whenever I click a button, so this message will emit from child to parent. Shall we capture this message in our parent?
Right?
Guys, give me 1 minute time. Please analyze the code. I need 1 minute. Sorry guys, I have to attend the call. Yeah, help me to complete. Am I going fast? You could not able to relate line number 10, 11, now 14, 15, 17. So we have entered this message where this message has to be captured.
Correct.
Parent. Shall we? That's what I'm asking. Shall we capture for some parent?
Yes, yes.
Alright. So I have my key as A4, but this key cannot be binded as a regular property. Then we bind only by event. So go you your parent, my component 1. So here I'm calling child. So sometime back we passed a property binding to A3. So now we have to capture using E1 binding A4. Right. So let me call parent function 2 and let me pass an event. Whatever the event we got emitted. So I'm defining event and whatever the data I want to retrieve from, I can able to do one inside my function where the whatever the event I'm getting it will pass. So define a function. So define a function parent function 2. The function name is correct. Parent function 2, which is holding some message. Data data 1 is equal to so whatever the event binder, I'm capturing that, I'm storing here my function parent to whatever the event has been passed. So that we are capturing in a function parent 2. And parent to whatever the message I'm capturing, I'm storing it in a property data 1. So how you will get the message on your parent? You can use anything, property by or interpolation. Let's say from child. Let me okay. On this way. How should check the output? Right now the parent component gets loaded. When child will get loaded? Whenever I select an item. Why I am not getting button? I need to save all. See here. So my child. And just to give you and to show you that data has been passed from child to parent, I have placed a button. You can do without button also. I just want to show whenever I click a button, message has been passed. So whenever I'm clicking a button, event has been emitted. That event has been captured to event binding in my parent, and with respect to function, event emitter function, I'm capturing the data. So I can do without this button also, just to show you. Whenever I'm clicking a button from child, component 4 to component 1, the data is getting passed. So that I'm capturing and I'm displaying on my parent. Will you give a try? But here, whenever I'm selecting, the selected object is passed as a data from component 1 to 4, and in component 4, I'm capturing and I'm displaying. So I want all of you to try the data passing from parent to child. So you can create simple 2 components and you can pass the data. And from child to parent, you can capture here. So same thing you can try with this details part. Right. Sharing data between parent and child via input and output directives. So what is the difference between item and delete request? You can try this. What is this item? Square bracket item. So which is from parent to child. So this is from parent to child. So this is property binding. I'm passing this item, whichever the current item I'm passing, property from parent. So in child, I can use at input and I can capture that property. Whereas here it is, so from child to parent, event binding. So delete request has been considered as an event which has been passed from child to parent. We are capturing through this cross of event method, and whatever the event is captured, we can capture here under this method. Method from parent. So this is the target output event from child. So same thing we have tried. Instead of item, I tried with K1 and K3. Instead of delete request, I tried with K3 and K4. Just to indicate it's a key property. So parent and sibling component. So I have parent component, and parent component is calling two child component. So one parent is having two child. I can pass data from parent to respective child. So child to parent as well. But if I want to share the data between two siblings of one parent, you can do with some ways. So if I want to pass the data between two different components, we have something called as service providers. So this we will discuss in upcoming session. So we have some service providers, services. We will communicate between one component and another component. So sharing between sibling components can be achieved in two ways. The first way is first share the data from child to parent. So guys, let's assume I have parent 1. So I have child 1. I have child 2. Whereas if I want to pass the data between child 1 to child 2, you cannot pass directly. How you can pass? From child 1, you will pass to parent. From parent, you can pass to child 2. So first share the data from child to parent using output decorators and event emitter. Once the parent is received from, once the data is received in a parent, you can share to all other using input decorator. It's a simple. So this is a regular way. I hope you know the first way. So second way is using services. This we will discuss in forthcoming sprints. Creating services. An explicit service. Via service, I can bind between many components. All right, you can guess. Again, I'm repeating. So from one child to another child, you cannot pass directly. So from child to parent, parent to child. Using output first, event emitter, then you can capture via input. The other one is using services. All right. Which decorator is used on child component property to receive the value from parent?
At input.
Input.
At input.
So used in child to receive value from parent. We will use at input. All of you clear with this? So what is the type of property that child should define in order to send the data to parent?
Event emitter.
Event emitter.
So we have to define the type of property in child, which is event emitter. You should create an object of the type event emitter. Let me show you in component 3 as well as component 4. I'm going to create K2 of the type event emitter, K4 of the type event emitter. All right. Can we reuse the component created in one Angular project in another? So for example, today, from yesterday, I created 4 components as on today. Component 1, 2, 3, and 4. Can I reuse in July 19 demo app in any other application? As of now, no. We didn't come across with that concept, but that is possible. So you have to make your component created as library project and you will be published in your registry. So the next topic is about publishing. So we will discuss on publishing. So before publishing, I want you to practice on passing the data, sharing the data between one component to another component. Or you tell me, will you give a try for some half an hour? If you try a simple message also fine, or this object also, it's fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Only Niranjan confirmed. Others?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So one simple demo. So if you continue with the existing project also fine. If you create new project also fine. You create 2 components. So in one component, you need to call the other component. So where you are calling will be parent, which one you have called will be child, and quickly pass the data from parent to child. One simple message. Even from parent, you are passing good morning. From child, if you are passing good afternoon, it's fine for me. Just practice it. So create component 1. From component 1, you pass good morning to comp 2. Whereas the other one, so you pass good noon from comp 2 to comp 1. So don't take much time, try to complete. As I said, you try the simple message. So by default, comp 1 is sending good morning to comp 2, you can display. So just in order to get, you display as such, or you keep a button. When you click the button, good noon needs to display, or you can display directly when you load the page.
Ma'am,
Yes.
siblings can share data directly or not, ma'am? Ma'am means component 2 or component 3.
Not possible because we are not calling directly. So let's assume comp 1 is parent, comp 2 is child. So in comp 1, we are calling 2 and 3. So via that comp, wherever you are calling, you can pass. See here. Here
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am passing, but we are not calling comp 2, comp 3 and 2, 2 and 3. All belongs to comp 1, parent. So in such situation, you cannot pass directly.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I told. Services part alone, we will discuss later. Whereas the traditional, the regular first way, you can try. But not now. After some time, you try to complete direct data passing from one to another. Once if you have done, you have time, you try that.